When you talk about producing not just calories, but nutrition, this is what JFK Jr. is all about. When in history, and this is a really good question for any reporter, when in history have we had our poorest people also be our fattest people? That's for the first time here in America. Traditionally, our poorest people have been very skinny and very under-nutritioned. We think that calories equals nutrition. It doesn't. We need to be smarter about the way we deliver our consumables, not just give them money, but actually make sure it's delivered in the right way.
Well, and as you know, look, a lot of poor people live in food deserts without access to healthy food. But of course, I think it's important to talk about the food that they're getting and whether they should have access to healthy food and food that is affordable. And again, that is a big question, how any of this will actually tangibly lower the food prices, which is what Trump said he would do on day one. Now we're seeing from the administration, well, you're hearing from his vice president, it's going to take more time.
While Donald Trump boasts that he has the highest approval rating in history. Yeah, that's what he's saying. The actual reality is quite the opposite, because unsurprisingly, attacking the government programs that people need to stay alive is not super popular. So Donald Trump is now dealing with the blowback, not just from people across the country, but people in red states specifically who are most harmed by him and Elon's policies. And it is coming in a very humiliating fashion that I cannot wait to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. And it really does mean a lot to me now. Before we get into Donald Trump getting booed, I want to check out a little bit of polling from CNN that shows exactly how bad things are for Donald Trump, and then a clip of the congressman who was there for the booing, and a reason probably why he was.
Is the people are mad. They are angry. They are rising up. Take a look here. Top worst things that Trump has done. This is among the folks who oppose Trump actions in office so far. You might have thought going into the election or afterwards it'd be immigration policy, but that comes in at just 10%. Check out on this side of the screen, though. I'm coming over to Mr. Berman's side. Musk, Doge, or the funding freezes, right? These funding cuts. Look at that. That takes the cake. 24%. That is the top answer amongst those who oppose Donald Trump's actions in office, saying it is the worst thing that he has done so far. It's Musk, it's Doge, it's those funding cuts. The people are mad, and if last night is an example, that town hall, they ain't going to take it anymore.
Okay, this is among those who oppose Trump's actions in office. Is there a difference, sort of, across party lines?
Yeah, okay. So let's zoom in on Elon Musk, right? We're going to zoom in on Elon Musk, Doge, and the access, of course, they have to the data. This is from our poll. The most significant Trump action this term so far. Look at this. Democrats are more angry about this than Republicans are happy about it. Look at this. Democrats, 18% say that the Musk, Doge, access to data is the most significant action so far for Trump this term. Bring it over to this side of the screen. Look at this. Just 9% of Republicans say that Musk, Doge, and the access to data is the most significant Trump action so far.
Out of when you talk about school lunches, hey, I worked my way through high school. I don't know about you, but I worked since I was before I was even 13 years old. I was picking berries in the fields before we had child labor laws that precluded that. I was a paper boy, and when I was in high school, I worked my entire way through. You're telling me that kids who stay at home instead of going to work at Burger King, McDonald's during the summer should stay at home and get their free lunch instead of going to work? I think we need to have a top-down review.
I think you're painting a lot of these kids with a broad brush. I would say that's not necessarily a fair assessment of all of the kids. So you would say all the kids in your district who use the free lunch, for example, or breakfast, they're all just sitting at home and not working. Okay, I just want to clarify, because that seems like what you were trying to insinuate.
This gives us a chance. This gives us a chance, though, to see where is the money really being spent. Who can actually go and actually produce their own income? Who can actually go out there and do something that makes them have value and work skills for the future? I mean, how many people got their start in fast food restaurants when they were kids versus just giving a blanket rule that gives all kids lunches in high school who are capable of going out and actually getting a job and doing something that makes them have value, thinking about their future instead of thinking about how they're going to sponge out the government when they don't need to. We don't give people value. We don't give them the ability to dig themselves out when we penalize them for actually working and actually keep them on welfare. That's what's been the inner city problem for a very long time. We need to have a top-down review so we can get people out of poverty, because you know what? America's very good at creating jobs and giving people worth, and we've been very traditionally good at that, but we're losing our way. And that's when we give people incentives to stay at home and not work. That doesn't work for America.
But a lot of these kids aren't even of like working age. They're young kids, and as you well know, and also some of the kids at Head Start, they're like 5 and under.
So I wanted to play those two clips, of course. First, the polling about how unpopular Donald Trump is, because I want to show that we need to hammer home this message of co-president Elon, the most corrupt man in America, taking your tax dollars to put them in his pockets while going after the agencies that hold his businesses accountable for committing crimes. That is a very clear, easy message that we have to hammer home every single day. And the other clip, of course, from Rich McCormick, a perfectly suitable douchey name for that guy of him, saying that kids should be working through high school to afford hot lunch and breakfast. It is just insane. But that is the position that MAGA is taking on the programs that are most important to, like I said, feeding people, housing people, giving them medical care that MAGA is going after. And it's why during a town hall with Rich McCormick, the guy we just saw, Donald Trump, and Elon Musk were booed senselessly. And it was so delicious, so beautiful. And I want to take a look.
Tyranny is rising in the White House, and a man has declared himself our king. So I would like to know, rather, the people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
I'm not going to give you my best foghorn leghorn response to that. But what I was, you can go ahead and sit down. Thank you. When you talk about tyranny, when you talk about presidential power, I remember having the same discussion with Republicans when Biden was elected. The funny thing is, you're sitting here and a lot of you would probably say those January 6s who are yelling just as loud as you, who are upset just like you.
So yeah, I don't know why anyone would be surprised that Americans don't want a king, if I remember correctly. And I think I do, because I did pay attention in school, unlike all the MAGA Republic and in Congress, except Lauren Boebert G. Americans never wanted a king. That was kind of the point of this whole thing, right? Isn't that the beginning of this experiment that we were kind of done with the king? But now Donald Trump's putting a crown on his head and pictures that he's posting. The Truth Social. I guess he doesn't really understand history, which would make sense. It's part of the reason why he's defending Putin. But I think this is a pretty clear indication, Donald, where things are going for your presidency. I don't think you need your propaganda polls that your guest man give you saying that you're up. I don't know, what is he saying now? 70, 80, 90%? No, listen to your own constituents, the people who voted for you, who are already turning on you already. It took a month, and you've already messed it all up. Which, first of all, let me say, how has it only been a month? It feels like it's been 18 months. It feels like it's been the entire term. I don't know. We're all going to keep up with this, but it is important that we stay in the fight calling this out. And I've said again and again, of course, that broader Elon message is important. But what also really hits close to home is that local reporting, which is exactly what Rachel Maddow was talking about in a great segment I want to check out right here.
is unpopular. He is historically unpopular. He is the least popular president in the history of modern polling at this point in his presidency. The country does not like him. They do not like what he is doing. They do not like the people that he is putting in place. The more he talks about specific things he wants you to associate with him, the more the American public hates those things specifically. The more the country shows that, the better chance that Democrats will get stronger and faster and more bold in their opposition, and the better chance that Republicans might start to join them. It is that simple. There is no magic bullet. There's no shortcut in standing up for democracy. When you're standing up for democracy, you know what's in your toolkit? Oh, look, democracy. That's it. This is how it works. And the hardest part of it is the hardest part of it to build, the hardest part of it to get on your side is public opinion, right? But on this guy, we're only 1 month in, and public opinion is definitely already there on this guy in a way that no president has ever seen before. And that is really good for people who are opposed to him and people who are trying to construct a regime of opposition to him that includes all comers. Right? Public opinion is against him. That is irreplaceable and necessary and huge. And public opinion being against him, mark my words, is only going to get worse for him. Because, again, it's simple. Look at what he's doing. Just look at these headlines from the past 48 hours. Headline: Trump team plans deep cuts at office that funds recovery from big disasters. The Trump administration plans to all but eliminate the office that oversees America's recovery from the largest disasters, raising questions about how the United States will rebuild from hurricanes, wildfires, and other calamities. The administration plans to cut the staff of that office by 84%. Headline: Trump administration cancels federal contract for 9/11 research. Headline: Trump administration cuts 9/11 survivors fund. Republicans join Democrats in rebuke. Headline: long lines and canceled rentals. Firings bring chaos to national parks. Quote, at Yosemite on Friday, the Trump administration fired the only locksmith on staff. He was the sole employee with the keys and institutional knowledge needed to rescue visitors from locked restrooms. The wait to enter Arizona's Grand Canyon National Park this past weekend was twice as long as usual after the administration let go 4 employees who worked at the south entrance, where roughly 90% of the park's nearly 5 million annual visitors pass through. At Gettysburg National Military Park in Pennsylvania, last week's widespread layoffs gutted the team that manages reservations for renting historic farmhouses. Visitors received notifications that their reservations have been canceled indefinitely. Here's a popular one. Deep cuts to the Center for Alzheimer's and Related Dementias at the National Institutes of Health. This is a research center that is actually named for a Republican senator. Its full name is the Roy Blunt Center for Alzheimer's and Related Dementias. Donald Trump is gutting that. That's going to be a really popular cut because obviously that's a lot of waste, right? Research to try to cure Alzheimer's. Who wants that? Well done, President Trump. Getting rid of all that waste. What do people with Alzheimer's contribute anyway, right? Who cares? Have you ever had any trouble getting in touch with the IRS when you needed to? Have you ever needed, or like getting something from the IRS website or like calling into their call center, using their chatbot or anything? Have you ever needed help from the IRS, needed a form? Maybe you needed some instructions on how to file something. Have you ever called in to one of those helplines? Because it is tax season now. And today the IRS fired nearly 7,000 people who work at the IRS.
All politics is national at this point, but we can take the hyper-local examples of the agencies that have trickled down to affecting your town, your city, and your neighborhood. Donald Trump cutting off the Department of Education, entirely shutting it down, is going to affect your school district. Donald Trump going after the FDA is going to affect your grocery store. People are going to be hurt at the local level. And that is the message that we need to communicate. Promises were made. They were immediately broken. What a shock. But we need to be very specific in talking about how that's happening and uplift in those stories and then bringing those people into our coalition. Of course, it's a little funny and a little therapeutic when MAGA gets their just desserts, but we should want to be bringing those people into our coalition. We shouldn't just be pointing and laughing. We can do that for a little bit, but then we have to say, come with us. Democrats were keeping your community alive. Donald Trump is destroying it now. It's time to vote. Come on in. That's what we're going to be talking about on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.